I can still stand up and stretch out every inch of the last legs of this past year of another day, another 357 miles of flat-out haul ass on the slab at 74.9 mph. Just under the radar gun aim, I am hewing to the grooves, down to the threads of the treads. I am hewing to the grooves, down to the threads of the treads. I am leveled off in an altitude of 3 feet above pavement. ETA-ASAP, not a day late or a dollar short, so I am hewing to the grooves. I am sailing right on through that hey stupid light waving its orange flag from the dashboard. I got my feet floored on the heat shield like John Glenn's Mercury re-entry as America's schizophrenic landscape peels away on either side. It's paradise, overlaid with a forest of fast food signs. It's one long monosodium glutamate boulevard from sea to oily sea. They'll serve you a piece of fried American pie served in a cardboard box with down-home hospitality or thinly smiled hostility, depending on what you look like. But I keep bending down those blue, dusk, distant jukebox highways, clinking long necks with a redneck buddy of mine, getting the funk out of there down cracked back roads, spitting out gravel, dust wafting up into the fine vein, bloodshot map of my sleep-deprived, caffeine-buzzed stare that steered me all the way here. Vertically speaking, if there ever was a grind, it's the road ridden the hard way. You are the car. In this case, a gut bucket rattling, chitlin jamming, no tune, tin can, time machine, compact, substandard company car. Designed for going up to the corner to get groceries, not for pulling showbiz Houdinis from here to the left coast and back. But carried me this far to tell this raggedy tale, slammed in the door in Boston, speed trapped in PA. I've been toe-jobbed in D.C., waylaid in L.A. by a woman with so many mouths she'll never be satisfied. I got fleeced by my own true love in San Fran to the tune of $600, $700, $800. I got stuck in the muck in Chaco Canyon, crapped out of luck in Vegas. But the shoe must go on. Propped up with a good, bad cup of non-dairy cream, 10W40 weight Food Mart Java. I'm about a quart low myself. Head gasket ready to blow, brake shoes shot. I've been stuck in fifth gear for over 3 years now, and there's no runway ramp in sight. My rear end is in dire need of alignment. I've been mainlining those white lines into the wee small hours of the night. I am high on low test, buffeted by the wake of heavy metal Peterbilts, leaving me in the cold, dark, starry outlands, where Hank's honky-tonk ghost twangs down those pedal steel miles. Well, I love you, baby, but you gotta understand, when the Lord made me, he made a rambling man. They said I had drive, so I drove. From East Kakalaka by way of North Hell right through Squash Possum, and every fly speck, don't blink, flashing light in between. My hometown among them. Everybody inside, sedated by carbohydrate comfort foods, hooked on cable. America's happening somewhere else, more real. You just gotta channel surf to get there. And yet here we all are, this verbal, visceral circle. Sometimes, living for driving, windows wide open, rolling alongside that gold ball, settling down all orange in the west, crosses over into the driving for a living lane. And I'm making a living, if you stretch the definition real thin. Paycheck to paycheck, trying to scrape together enough roadkill for a cushion for a soft landing, if and when I ever do come in for one. I've been around the country so many times in the last 5 years, I ran into myself in a motel off of I-40 in Tennessee, mumbling, where am I? Stumbling into other road ghosts, my own old man among them, traveling dental equipment salesman selling those smiles. In a room designed the same as every other room off every other exit all the way across the country. Designed that way to keep you calm and sane and anonymous. I've taken to leaving the plastic wrapper on those plastic cups. Makes the tap water taste a little bit better. I've taken to peeing right through that paper ribbon over the commode, sanitized for my protection. I've taken to wash ragging the exhaust from my strung out, staggered 3D image till it gathers up into one solid shape but tired. I got the road map of Jersey on one side of my squint. I got Oklahoma under construction under the other. I got long stretches of Texas down my cheeks. I got one too many Manhattan nights bagging my eyes. But a Pacific Coast smile, a New Orleans wink, and a big Chicago eating grin. And as I lay me down on a mattress impressed with tons of loneliness and maybe a little love, decompressing from crossing 3 time zones in one day, that heavy metal lullaby laps up against the motel room door. And I wend my way back. I wend my way, way back to a simple, single, green pulse. That sparkling trickle under the hemlock trees down in the Willoughby Valley. A simple, single, green pulse that laved away all thoughts of hurry. Washed away all thoughts of mortality. But across that valley, I-90. I used to stare at that hurry for hours, from a hillside carved to let progress pass, from the edge of the woods until one afternoon I hiked down to the berm, stuck out my thumb. I've been on that concrete river ever since. Sometimes the road feels like my middle name. Sometimes I wonder if the road's not going to be my last name by the end. And sometimes I'd like to sling one of those monster truck blowouts over my shoulder and hike far inland on trails that the Shawnee walked and talked, that deer browse on now. Hike way back up into those hills until one of my kin asked me, "What the hell are you doing with that?" Sit down. I'll tell you a story. And I want to leave that green door open between the rushes of progress because that's where all the poetry starts. Thank you.
In the beginning was not the Word. In the beginning was this, blossom of bliss, rippling outward through 2 entwined bodies of light, rooted in the soul of the night. Some kind of fine, vintage, song of songs kiss. From the ankle bells up through the shivering beginning of things to the tip of the tongue, to the tip of the tongue, teaching a new language for love. We live forever, said one pile of bones, uncovered next to the other, under a mural of multicolored ecstasy, pieced together with delicate, inquisitive fingers, necklaces singing like fountains again. We give back the look we gave once, upon the first time our eyes opened on each other's loving now returned, these mortal smiles glowing in another rosy dawn. Some kind of solid held together in a dance, kiss, up against the pulsing wall, an all-encompassing pause, reverbing back to the one beat from which life comes. A kiss that takes us back to what makes the world go round, sweet love come down, the moon rise, the river of time unwind. Even before, oh vanity of vanities, even before, to that core fire nourished by the dark. In the beginning was not the Word. In the beginning was this blossom of bliss rippling outward through two entwined bodies of light, rooted in the soul of the night. This song is gravity, pulling dead light from full moon into lungs and sung from the top of the escape, alone and above love, filling the empty alley. She's up there all right, first woman on the moon, bounding dunes weightlessly, somersaulting craters, deserted evening gown, fluttering through dark, like breath through an oboe. And she's not coming back. Who hears the sad chant of crickets at dawn? Who hears the whippoorwill anymore? Hank, stop drinking that milk laced with whiskey, and tell me, who hears the moon going down solo? The ghost of Everett Maddox, he says to me, you can see a lot from the bottom of an empty rocks glass. A monocle that magnifies desire. And your desire can stand on end, even when you can't. There's the poetry of eternity in that. The rusty sun barges westward up the Mississippi, sinking swollen woozy over the quarter. Started partying a little early and I peaked too soon. Hence this ballasted perspective from the edge of the slow bourbon whirlpool. Another reveler tries to focus on what's left of a double hurricane pink in his plastic souvenir cup, then starts doing that open container stumble, pot belly spilling out of a "it's not the heat, it's the stupidity" t-shirt, his face red as a burled crawdad. Nolan summer's a greasy sauna where smells take on shape. Presences of oysters' sloppy sexual decay hover corners, mingling with étouffée ghosts while stale beer lingers down an alley, mumbling to a memory of patchouli, wafted on the gift of a rare breeze, stirring skirts of Spanish moss, fanning fronds from between centuries-old mortared bricks, insinuating through half-open shutters to ruffle lacy interiors over rose-petal skin. The Delta Swamp's fevered touch peels paint from shotgun shacks and strips of stale pastry and strips of ancient lingerie. Its humid touch corrodes up wrought iron trellises, always ready to reclaim the dreams of the denizens thereabouts, who simply push the bones of former inhabitants out the back hatches of cool Creole tombs and slide back in. After one more mystical incarnation, all souls blowing first and last breaths through brassy jazz, handkerchiefs marching skyward. I give a nod to Tennessee's Panama-hatted pale shade, deep in a dry rot wicker chair in an upper gallery. Lids heavy, he gives a wry smile and toasts his glass with inky hands, ice cubes clinking into silence. Lady Mississippi, she strolls over the levee, her brown golden bosom swelling and sighing from her glittering evening dress, 'cause she ain't gonna follow no straight and narrow. She's gonna roll her hips any which way she pleases, the Big Easy swaying through everybody she passes. Under the dull whump and whump and whump of the morning's round of mortars, stomping the foot of God-hate through Sarajevo. Below the damp pop, 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 pop of snipers, cleansing another neighborhood like boys potting rats off a dump. Beneath the weight of the next note to crescendo, muffled wreckage, Vedran Smelovich wakes. Wakes as he has done for the last 21 days on end. Takes his concert tuxedo from where it hangs close by and pulls it on upright, straightens his black tie and walks out without flinching, towards the bakery, where 22 people in line that morning never heard what blew them to bits. He carries the hollow body of the cello close, through streets of burnt-out storefronts glaring across at each other, and stops at a particular crater. Setting up a folding stool, he leans the neck against his shoulder and pauses to wipe the fine flour of ash from the polished wood lightly. Lightly as a mother brushing a crumb of sweetbread from the down above her crying child's lip. Lightly as the young lovers just ahead in line smile the future reflecting in each other's faces. Lightly as the man behind them laughs, a little embarrassed by their predicament, but holding his place in line just the same. Lightly Vedran Smelovich's calloused fingers slide into the first few notes, pulling and pushing and pulling the last of the 22 lives in line that morning, free from the debris of statistics. From the empty body, from the blackened eyes, from the weary strings, this morning flows, this morning flows, overflows. When will humanity see we are one family from the same tree, one family?
Euclid Beach Park. Rickety roller coasters screeches over tinny pipe organ, drowning out ball-bearing factory ringing through immigrant Slovene ears. Tilt-a-wheel farts diesel. Tilt-a-wheel farts diesel, while clear bulbs pop, an electric taste on tongue like pennies sucked. Sticky cotton candy hands clutch arcade prizes, plastic soldiers, Kewpies, orange marzipan peanuts, while sweaty crowds crowd along in Taiwan elastic polyesters plastered over fried dough, clammy skin. Do I remember? How could I forget? 8 feet tall, bigger than our fears,
She guarded the fun house. Grown-ups always stopped in front of her first as she cranked back and forth on rusting steel spine, hands on squat hips over potato dumpling legs. Laughing Sal had gapped teeth, slug lips, flaring nostrils, and wore a loud yellow dress with red polka dots. Her garbled, vibrating hysterics would not let up, no matter where you were in the park, no matter how many pillows you put over your head that night. She was crazy mirror for Slovenian great aunts, Rose and Flo and Josie. By God, they needed to let go. After din of machines from 7 to 3, after coming home to scrub linoleum and formica, after resting their backs and soaking their feet, they had to laugh. Behind them, bug-eyed, we stared, looking from them to her. We laughed and laughed. Rickety, tragic industrial roller coaster carrying us up. Clink, 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 clink. Almost as high as smokestacks and sulfurous flats. Plummeting, we screamed. Throwing hands in air. Sticky prizes, plastic soldiers, marzipan, peanuts, Kewpies, raining down on the heads of Rose and Flo and Josie. Laughing Sal.
At a trendy restaurant a la Arboretum, in an alley back of Harvard Square, I sit down to a platter of minimalist philosophy and wait for more. When none comes, I realize this is the entree, and it hits me. This will cost. 3 slivers of salmon looking for the life of them like Play-Doh cutouts, a spot of goose liver pâté nudged under a scrap of spinach grown probably in a petri dish, a dash of tortellinis, that disgrace to pasta, an upscale garnish of designer legumes, and, existentially enough, a single olive, sans pimento. The whole platter could be a display of new wave jewelry. Enough of this less is more. More is more. And I want some. Let's start with dumpling soup, the aroma buoyed by globules of chicken fat, the 100 suns that never shine on gray Cleveland. Bring on the pierogies and put a tub of cheese whiz made from artificial imitation processed cheese food at one elbow and a mound of sauerkraut at the other, steaming like a scow stirred by a spring morning on the Cuyahoga River. Lard. Pumpernickel smeared with lard. Egg noodles rolled and cut and ladled by my heavy great aunts steeped in margarine from the contented corn of Ohio. Give me a belly full of kielbasa-inspired indigestion any day. A pile that makes you spout Leon McDuffsky and let no mouth cry, hold, enough. To top it off, a roll of pizza and a quivering dollop of pink Jell-O salad, straight from the Stuckies off the Western Pike, all frothed with non-dairy whip. Enough of this lightweight stuff that lets you off to play squash or the stocks. Enough of this nuance and dabble. I want a mound of carbohydrates so I cannot move the rest of the afternoon. Chowed down in a bar with the Browns game blaring. A meal as murky and profound as an immigrant cathedral, as bland and fulfilling as a busload of Slovenians coming home from polka varieties, dreaming of Sunday dinner. Okay, thank you.
You like that tattoo, huh? They say there's no mistakes in life. I can't even remember her face. Her name is stitched there. Forever. See this hand? L-O-V-E. See the other knuckles? F-E-A-R. Love, fear. The two forces that motivate a man. Well, me anyway. I'm not like the rest. Not exactly what you'd call the norm. Never have been norm. Never will be norm. I stay out of that game. Stay on the road. Trucking ain't no cakewalk, though. Trooper back at the way station was telling me about this rig they found idling out in the middle of the desert. They asked the guy what he thought he was doing out there. And he told him, staring straight ahead the whole time.
I'm waiting for the light to change.
Love, fear. Love, fear. I love to drive. Love to drive out to some wide open space, middle of the night, pull over, pull out my sleeping bag, stretch out under the stars, stare up, and up, till I fall asleep. I like to wake up. I like to wake up here or anywhere. Happy to be here. Happy to be alive. Get myself a hot cup of mud, warming the bones of my hands. Big sky plate of biscuits and gravy. Or is it fear? I'm not afraid to consider it. Some shark-like instinct driving me down the pike. I did some time in a can a while back. 18 months for 2 stinking joints. I was staying with this woman up near Jerome. Locals thought I was kind of an oddball, kind of my shaved head and Fu Manchu. One day I'm rolling up a couple of doobies of ditchweed in the kitchen. I see this commando hop over the fence. Thought I was hallucinating, till I seen another one. Next thing I know, a SWAT team of sheriffs come kicking in the kitchen door, down the chimney, through the bathroom window. I never seen so many federales. DEA, FBI, CNN. 18 months for 2 stinking joints. Steal a little, do the time. Steal a lot, you set the fine. My cellmate, now there was a monster for tattoos. He had this masterpiece across his chest. Not a professional job. Looked like he did it himself with a ballpoint pen. On his right pec is a guy standing, pointing at a guy on his left pec. I looked a little bit closer, and the guy standing, he's holding a gun. And the kneeling guy, whose brains are getting blown all blue out the back of his head, he's praying, begging for mercy. There was a motto underneath. I couldn't make it out because it was blurring into the fat of his gut. So he reads it out loud for me, real slow like. Violence, he says, gets the job done. 18 months in the same cells, Mr. Personality will motivate you to keep moving. Your love, fear, love, oh, hey. Sometimes you never can tell. Look at Elvis. End of his life, you know what he said?
I should have stayed a trucker.
Maybe he's still out here somewhere. Driving balls for glory towards the gates of Graceland. Hauling a load of velvet self-portraits. And I gotta pull off up here in Barstow. Hey, remember this anyways, kid. Any which way you turn, your ass is always behind you.
And a cup or 2 or 3 went on a spree one day. We had a bob or 2 which we knew how to brew. The beer and whiskey flew and we all fell. We lived into the cans, Michael and Mans, Humpty Dans. We then went into Swans, our stomachs for the pack. Ordered out a feast, which indeed we didn't need. It went down as like a shot, but we still fell slack. Still fell slack, still fell slack. Went down as like a shot, but we still fell slack. Johnny McNiece turned as blue as the dew, and the plate of Irish stew he soon got out of sight. Shouted out the cold with the roar for some more that he never felt before, such a keen appetite. He ordered eggs and ham, bread and jam, what a cram. With him we couldn't jam, though we tried our level best. For everything we brought, cold or hot, night or night, went down like a shot, and it still stood the test. Still stood the test, still stood the test. Went down like a shot, and it still stood the test. By the yard, he got scarred. We thought it would get hard when the waiter brought the charge. Told him he could lower, but he swore he could lower twice as much again and more. Before he had his fill, before he had his fill, before he had his fill. Twice again and more before he had his fill. Charge, Michael too felt so large. He began to scold and barge, and his blood went to fire. Began to curse and swear, tear his hair in despair. To finish the affair, called a shopman a liar. Shopman he drew out, and no doubt he did clout. Michael knew he kicked about like an old football. Tattered all his clothes, broke his nose, I suppose. Nearly killed him with a few blows and no time at all. shopkeeper's head. Struck on Mickey Flynn on the chin, peeled skin. The records did begin, and we all fought glad. We all fought glad. We all fought glad. The records did begin, and we all fought glad. The police did arrive, men alive, 4 or 5. Let us and made a drive for us all to march away. We paid for all the meat that we ate to retreat. Went home to ruminate on the street that day. Went home to ruminate on the street that day. Johnny McNiece and McGee and me and the couple 2 and 3 went on the spree one day. We had a body too, which we knew how to blew. The beer and whiskey flew and we all fell. We went to Tuna Cans, went to Man's, Humpty Dan's. We then went into Swan's, our stomachs full to pack. We ordered out a feast, which indeed we didn't need. It went down as like a shot, but we still felt sad. And the girl on my soul threw an empty bowl at the shopkeeper's head. Struck on Mickey Flynn on the chin, peeled skin. The ruckus did begin, and we all fought glad. All fought glad, we all fought glad. The ruckus did begin, and we all fought glad. Then the peelers did arrive, men alive, 4 or 5. Let us in a drive for us all to march away. We paid for all the meat that we ate to retreat. Went home to ruminate on the spree that day. Went home to ruminate on the spree that day. Went home to ruminate on the spree that day. top of stout, on top of stout, on top of stout. Down at O'Hooley's, we were cracking into a regular Kaylee when Jimmy Prouty calls, "Time!" Kicks us out in a January cold snap. We all stood about, teeth chattering, too cold to put bottle to lips. The fiddles, mandolins, and pipes stopped. So all music and most dawdling over, I made my way down to the breaking river with an inkling of a tinkling of an eye day to sing this chronic Celtic melancholy away. What did I learn from my people but to drink and slur nostalgic songs sooner than think? Nothing there but ice fissures hissing, an occasional piece breaking loose, like a ghost bobbing the floor, gnashing its dirty teeth against the bridge pilings. And I'm wishing my own breath could recall one or two good Gaelic expletives to hurl at the current. I'm ready to give hell to passers-by in the name of Ireland, just for the sound of it. Ruski Bon Pride. Ruski Bon Pride. Nothing there but ice fissures hissing, occasional piece breaking loose, like a ghost bobbing the floor. The only Irish I have left is my name. As passing as is the Shawnee of this river, as passing as is the Shannon. Once upon a time there was, once upon a time there was Irish ways and Irish laws. We are a river flowing. We are a river flowing. We are a river flowing.
Harrigan spells Harrigan. Proud of all the Irish blood that's in me. Devil the man to say a word agin me. Harriganuc. That's the man with the name shame can never be connected with. Harrigan, that's me. My old man never made it to be an old man. A drummer, beating his feet, knocking on one more door of opportunity, opening away from Appalachian Depression boyhood. Success, just a Horatio Alger get-rich-quick handshake away, as he climbed from stock clerk to sales rep to desk job, selling those dental equipment smiles and finding his ladder up against the wrong building when he finally made it to the top, not a Broadway marquee. A would-be vaudeville hoofer, he'd croon corny Irish-American moldy oldies on the drive back from the office, bypassing high blood pressure Cleveland rush hour by way of Pat Joyce's piano bar. He'd still be carrying those tunes up the back stairs of that last place we never rented long enough to call home, tapping wingtip brogues shined on the back of each pant leg, through routine scuffled across cracked kitchen linoleum floor with a kickball change and a kickball change, in a wake of whiskey, nicotine punchlines curling back on his smile under bare bulb stage lights, with a barumpta, wiseacre wink he tossed to me, hiding in the corner. After road trips, I'd hear him straining up those stairs like there were bricks in his briefcase, like it was full of 65 dead gold-plated retirement wristwatches, packed tight with the ashes of every pack of cigs smoked to kill time, heavy with the wet clay sand from the crick down home, the crick he never made it back to, the crick that trickled out of a holler, past a billboard of a lone ship on a vast sea. Join the Navy, see the world. He did. To Korean War. Drinking around with USO show touring Donald O'Connor, picking up a few steps to boot, with a kickball change and a kickball change. Light as the flicker of Cagney as George M. Yankee Doodle dandying White House steps on the screen of the Marietta Picture Show. But the stairs and his joints creaked with the weight of what must have sounded by the end like failure. There was a silence down in his eyes I could not guess then. The early grave stare I've seen since. A salesman in a happy hour bar gazing off into a mirror, wondering where his life went. I took him for an instant for my father, for the way he kept checking his watch, ticking off to some bottom line he had to meet. My old man's charm and Blarney and Kennedy blue serge suits danced against failed deals and calls from bill collectors. No matter how much he believed those smiles could sell, they wilted, useless as the at-peace pasty one pulled across his face for his 41-year-old lace casket-lined curtain call. I'm looking over a four-leaf clover that I've overlooked before. One leaf is sunshine, the second is rain, third are the roses that grow in the lane. I'm looking over his smiling Irish eyes now, closed. Not my father, but a brother, worn out by one too many wrong turns turned out to be dead ends. How he must have sang open his new offices and closed them down with a shuffling exit stage left. Even now I hear him straining up those winding stairs, with the grit and tired stride of his own old man, hunching home from the mines and the rigs, the strength to keep going, that tired ghost of the Depression, one step behind him, following him to sleep. He'd close that bedroom door, and it stayed closed. But sometimes still I'm waking to a summer morning born for fishing. The first light slanting through the back porch screen. I'm wakened by someone watching over me. And I look up at him, smiling down. Buddy, let's get this show on the road. With a kickball change, kickball change, kickball change. Postcard, Ohio Valley Pear. Southern Ohio Appalachian fall unfolds, the whole Hocking Valley ripe, and repeating its colors on up the near foothills, flourished, then over a far slope. The ground that has been holding its breath exhumes it into the smolder of things, and a beagle yelps off on the scent down the blue light of a hollow, its howl falling off but faintly lingering as I pause to eat this leftover Bartlett pear, full and seeping the valley's yellow glow. If I do end up in some black and white movie of a city, it will come down to this pear. Without its flavor, I could never make it back to carry over each of these hills. Yes, here. Postcard from the Indiana Dunes. A flock of gray, white, black seagulls pegged one-legged, facing wind, setting sun, and rip current, on a sandbar 70 miles due west of Chicago's big shoulders that float above Lake Michigan's horizon like a latter-day Atlantis. The gulls do a yoga of wing stretching, settling webbed feet shaken back into foam, keeping up their abulations, until they all turn and waddle into tenacious hiss of beach grass. Two children walking in front of their father, coming into view, the cause of their move. Chicago's gone in a cold gray mist, and I watch long white plumes from the smokestacks of Gary on the extreme left. Then everything is gone. Gulls, kids, Chicago, and only an acrid stink lingers, and sand, and waves, and wind. Postcard Sunset, Louisville Air Force Base. A pregnant Army transport taxis around for takeoff, rumbling black diesel over liquid asphalt. It hulks up towards Kuwait, carrying tanks to protect oil. Its drab desert olive body banks back, and the smoke trail cuts across the orange ball of the sun like it's the logo of a doomed corporation. But the sun just keeps sinking, casting a hazy hue through pollution, dying there, before and beyond anything civilization can do about it.
Oh, say, can you see this country free of bigotry,
incivility, hostility, from sea to shining TV. The tribes are picking up sides, from Bosnia to the West Bank to Belfast to LA. And there's nowhere left to hide for the children of the dream, walking hand in hand down that black and white wound, running across this land. What's wrong with this picture? Can you find the human being beaten on this screen?
Being beaten on this screen.
He deserved it. Payback happens. What goes around comes around, said the eye for an eye blind men. But the rioting is on the wall. Mr. President, you have a call on the white courtesy phone. It's the blanks' fault. The blanks started it. You know how they are. They don't really belong here. So we sell ourselves on talk shows like bugs shaken in a jar. And the finger of blame points around in an angry trigger circle, 'cause we're all living in the same hood now, buying into Babylonian hype. Mad Av went to bed with Hollywood, raised a little family of stereotypes. Hey, can you see somebody looks just like me, peering out from the leaves of your family tree, rooted in Mother Africa? We are the children of the dream who wandered our separate ways a long time gone, gathered together here again today. Remember? Can we call ourselves brothers, sisters? What color was the hand raised against Abel after it fell? How will we ever wipe the slate clean when the powers that be sell us whitewash, sell us spray paint, so we can paint ourselves into our own little corners, the mirrors of our monsters? Can you see the eyes of a sister, a brother, a father, a mother, behind the masks of your worst nightmares? Oh, say, can you see through the lies that we are not us, that we are us versus? And where is justice? Or is it just us? We are the children of the dream, wandering through the desert of America, through the smoke from the fire next time come, walking hand in hand down that black and white wound running across this land, healed over with each step together. Oh, say, can you see the person walking next to you?
fast two-laner pinching into infinity. There's a rusty red, white, and blue wagon plowed into the golden dust. Its four doors hang flung open to spacious skies. Vinyl roof's been beaten on by the sun's fist till it's as white as a cow's skull. Three of the tires were scrounged long ago. The last is as flat as a Sharpie's $5 pork pie hat. Head buffaloed nickel stays stuck between the windshield and the dash. Ain't enough for a last call of the wild. Yellowed Bible stolen from a neon motel waits to rise out of the glove box. Brochure for Vegas lounges atop it. On the back seat, bleached fried chicken bones, an empty six-pack rocks and rattles with each 18-wheel gust. Gnarled rabbit's foot dangles from the cracked rear view that stares all the way back across us. Where did they all go? The dreamers, get-rich-quick schemers, fly-by-night storefront preachers, soda fountain starlets, guitar hero one-hit wonders, ma and pa five and dimers, broken down bronco busters, migrant pickers in the fields of paradise. All those pilgrims, whoever hurried on from here with their good looks, glad hands, and hunger for more. Whatever movie they ended up in, they left more than what was left of their innocence behind them, driven on by the need to keep moving and never look back. Where has the pursuit of happiness taken us? Has the promised land ended in the exhausted haze of L.A.? Hollywood marketing Babylon into redundant suburbs while the postman whistles through the clenched teeth of his route. Murder staring up from plastic wrap papers on every door stoop, where gang stars shoot action sequences, segueing from rodeo drives, parade of limos, while stemmers wither on Skid Row. Where is our common ground, America? Built on a fault line? As I stood outside the city of Lost Angels on old Route 666, across from the dream car we drove west once upon a time, I waited a long while for a ride back home, wherever that is, till a beat-up pickup truck driven by a long-hair pulls over, pops open his door. Hop in, he says. It's the Navajo way. Gypsy poet and rhyme is what I do. From Beantown to San Fran and back to Tuscaloosa. I'm known from New Orleans, Chicago and back, and they know me by the name of Buddy Raymack. Of all the things I could do, poetry's the best. But when I get tired, I just shut up and rest. I sing for myself, but what else is there to do but cut down the corner with me old reggae-doo? Diddly-biddy-biddy-dum-bum, diddly-bop, diddly-biddy-biddy-dum-bum-dum. Diddly-biddy-biddy-dum-dum, diddly-bop, diddly-biddy-dum-bum-bum. Hey, diddly-biddy-biddy-bidum, diddly-bop, diddly-biddy-bidum-bum-bum. Diddly-biddy-bidum-dum, diddly-bop, diddly-biddy-dum-bum-bum. It's do-si-do and around we go. Where we stop, well, God only knows. Love leads a life, life leads a death. It's a circle of song till we draw our last breath. I'm heading down the road in a beat-up Ford. If I make it back, I'll be thanking the Lord. Now you heard some stories about Ray Mac. Good night and God be with you till I come back down. Diddly-ba-da-ba-dum-bum, diddly-bop, diddly-biddy-bidum-bum-bum. Diddly-biddy-bidum-dum, diddly-bop, diddly-biddy-bidum-bum-bum. Hey, diddly-biddy-bidum, diddly-bop, diddly-biddy-bidum-bum-bum. Diddly-biddy-bidum-dum, diddly-bop, diddly-biddy-bidum-bum-bum. I am a gypsy poet and rhyme is what I do. From Beantown to San Fran and back to Tuscaloosa. I'm known from New Orleans, Chicago and back. They know me by the name of Buddy Ray Mac. Diddly-biddy-bidum-dum, diddly-bop, diddly-biddy-bidum-bum-bum. Diddly-biddy-bidum-dum, diddly-bop, diddly-biddy-bidum-bum.